Hey, we're back for the latest episode of On the Run. I'm JoJo.
I'm Taylor. I like those finger guns, by the way.
I know, just trying to be...
We're back.
Let the people know we're back. And we have a lot to talk about. This weekend was the New York City Marathon.
Yes.
Shalane Flanagan was the first American woman to win in 40 years. Taylor, what was it like to be in the media room at New York?
It was unreal, in one word. It was just completely unreal. I had a really hard time containing my excitement because I was doing live updates, I was writing the recap, and watching her, take the lead with, I think it was probably a mile and a half to go, where she finally had that lead, 2 miles to go or so, and it was just amazing.
Was there like a cheer in the media room at all? I mean, obviously people aren't supposed to cheer for anyone.
Yeah, you're not supposed to cheer, but I think everyone was kind of smiling and like getting pumped up watching her get closer to the finish line. Just because there's so much behind that victory. First American woman in 40 years to do it, which is crazy.
It is crazy.
The last American to win was Mickey Gorman in 1977. Shalane was not alive then.
and then also just Shalane's personal story this year, coming back from a back injury. She literally had a broken back.
Yes, which is obviously not an easy injury to come back from.
Right.
She had to pull out of her favorite race, the Boston Marathon. She spent all summer recovering and coming back from that.
And she's 36 years old.
Yeah.
I mean, once you're, late 30s, it's not guaranteed you're going to be able to come back and do even be able to match what she's done before.
Yeah.
So I feel like, in those pre-race interviews, she was saying like, I'm really going to go for it and I hope to win and this might be my last one. But I feel like a lot of us were kind of taking that a little bit with a grain of salt just because it's so rare to see an American woman win a major marathon. But wow, she really shocked everybody.
Did it. And it wasn't even, you can't even say like, oh, the field wasn't as strong this year. She beat the women's only marathon world record holder, Mary Keitany, and Edna Kiplagat, who won the Boston Marathon this year. Mamatou Daska, who was third, also very respectable marathoner, obviously. So, the field was loaded, and she made it happen. She did it. And I don't even think she really thought, I'm sure she was very confident heading in, but I don't even think she thought it was entirely possible. Just, listening to her pre-race interview, she said, if I just happened to be in this ridiculous, amazing...
Yeah, she was using those, like, superlatives. Like, oh, I know this would be the crazy, star in the sky type goal, but it happened.
Yeah.
And the race started out, it was 6:48 for the first mile. It's really slow.
It was slow. So that first mile is usually pretty slow, but that was exceptionally slow for this field. And then, there was some, like, the pack pretty much stayed intact through most of the race. There was some, varying mile splits, where they ramped it down and up and down again. But Shalane really didn't, or the top three really didn't pull away till about 21, 22 miles. And then it was just all over. It was down to those three. And heading into the park, which is also a really tough part of the course, is very hilly, was just a nail biter. And it was just so exciting. Getting pumped just remembering it.
Can you imagine running a 5:04 mile at the end of a marathon?
No.
I personally can't really imagine running a 5:04 mile like right now in my life. It sounds hard. But just, I wonder, like, she ran 2:26 for the win, but she's got to be in like 2:20 shape, you think, right? Yeah. Like, especially being able to take down Mary at the end of the race.
Yeah, and Jerry Schumacher, her coach, we got to talk to him after her victory. He gave a very rare video interview.
First one in the history of FloTrack, right?
Yes.
To get Jerry on camera?
First one. He didn't want to do it, but a bunch of us reporters kind of cornered him, and he agreed to do it, which, that just also shows how big of a deal this was for Shalane to accomplish this huge goal. And so he was saying that before the race, she was in the best shape of her life. And, they knew that it was possible, but I think, it was still kind of a pleasant surprise.
Yeah. But not a shock. He doesn't seem shocked in that interview. I watched it, and he's I mean, I guess maybe at that point he had had a couple hours or so to process it. I'm not sure when in the day you guys cornered him. But, yeah, that was a really interesting interview to watch. Guys, check it out. FloTrack.com, Jerry Schumacher interview.
We also have to show this awesome picture of Shalane just with the flag after the race. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, and that's when she tweeted out, too.
Yes.
I mean, what a moment. And in the post-race press conference, you know, she says, I've waited 7 years for this moment. I've trained 7 years, and I just hope that the other American women know, just be patient, and you can do it too.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a long time.
Yeah, it's a really long time. And, you know, this is winning a Abbott World Marathon major is a huge accomplishment, and it's extremely difficult. And it just shows, I mean, just the fact that it's been 40 years since an American has won New York.
Yeah.
And I think the last time an American won World Majors was 2006 of all the races. I mean, you know, it's obviously a very difficult thing to do. It's on par with, you know, almost getting an Olympic or a world medal. I mean, it's that hard to do.
It's the same caliber field.
Yeah.
And sometimes even harder just because there's no limit, you know, on a certain number of Kenyans or Ethiopians that can be in the race.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I feel like the question now is she really going to retire? She said if she won, she thought it was her pie-in-the-sky goal. Maybe she didn't 100% believe it was possible, but
Meb said he doesn't want her
She seemed a little reluctant to, like, share what her decision was. And then Jerry said, well, it's up to Shalane. We're happy to keep going, but it's up to Shalane. I would just be so shocked if after this she doesn't do one more Boston, because she's from Massachusetts. She's always said Boston is like that's her race that she wants to win so much. And the fact that she just beat the champion this year.
Yeah.
So you got to think, she's obviously in the best shape of her life. So I feel like it would be crazy for her to retire now. But on the other hand, I can understand, you know, you want to walk away when you're at the top. So.
I know. She's accomplished her lifetime goal, but Boston has always been her favorite race. You know, she's always gone all in for it, and, you know, she's from the Boston area. It holds a special place in her heart. Even Meb, afterwards, he was like, she has to do Boston, right? Like, she can't be done yet.
Yeah.
And I was like, I mean,
she can't be done.
If Meb says that, I don't know.
You got to think. Well, there also was a little bit of a figurative passing on of the torch if Shalane does decide to retire after this, because up-and-coming marathoner, who we're going to talk to later in the podcast, Allie Kieffer.
Yes.
She improved from 2:44. Technically, her road PB was 2:55 to, 2:29, just under 2:30? Yeah, to place 5th in this field, which is pretty much unheard of. Like, you don't get top 5 in a world major marathon. That doesn't really happen.
Yes.
You know, if we haven't heard of you before, if you haven't accomplished something else on the global level yet.
And she's got such a inspiring story herself. You know, she ran in college, she ran at Wake Forest first, then went to Arizona State for a year, I think, and you know, kept training post-college. She even qualified for the Olympic trials in 2012 in the 10K. Wasn't able to run. I think she, you know, went through the injury cycle. At one point, wasn't running at all. Just kind of
apparently.
Like hung up her spikes.
Well, I'm excited to ask her more about that. I want to, like, clarify this timeline.
Yeah. But she came back to the sport, has been living in Buffalo, you know, training there. Sounds like just kind of on her own.
Yeah. I mean, I guess she was able to get a small stipend, sort of a mini sponsorship from this project that Nike is doing, the Moonshot Marathon Project, I believe it's called. And that's allowed her to work her regular job less and devote more time to training. But let's give Allie a call.
Yes.
Let's see what she has to say.
Yes.
America's next great hope.
I got this pretty sweet picture of her. Got a graphic for you right there. That looks like it was on one of the bridges. But yeah, it was really interesting hearing her talk about, you know, the last few portions of the race, she was just kind of picking people off.
Yeah.
You know, had gone from.
Hey, Allie?
Yeah.
Hey, yeah. So are you off the train now?
No, but we're almost off.
Oh, okay. Oh, well, you're on our podcast now. This is Johanna, and I'm here with Taylor Dutch.
Hi.
Hi, Allie. So where are you headed?
Oh, back to my mom's house in West Islip. We went into the city to hang out with the Nike crew and go visit one of my friends who does some work with kids, like bringing some like running programs to underprivileged schools in the city.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how you were celebrating the win?
Yeah, I went out with some friends last night, like on Long Island, and I know I'm going to have a big party to throw back in Buffalo. So, yeah, we're still celebrating for a long time, I think.
For a long time.
I would.
Yeah.
What was your, were you coming into this, did you think that, you could get top 5, you could break 2:30? Like at your best, what did you think you were capable of?
And David Monty called me in the summer and he was like, I think you can run 2:31. And I kind of was thinking about that as I was going through each race. So like after the 20K, I remember looking up the result and like comparing it on the Jack Daniels calculator. What is that for a marathon? And then I did that after the 10 mile too. So I think they were kind of pointing to like a 2:31, maybe 2:30. But I didn't really exactly know what training you have to do to run a 2:30 marathon. And so like I looked a lot at the Northern Arizona elite girls and like kind of track what they were doing and can I do what they're doing. I think they're trying to run sub 2:30. So like, do I go with them? Do I not? And they had done some really big workouts. Like I know the last big workout was that 15 mile at like 5:51 in Flagstaff, and I didn't comparatively like to a sea level pace. I didn't hit that many miles, so I was kind of thinking like I should back off that pace. Maybe that works for them, maybe it won't work for them, but that probably wouldn't have worked for me. And I was trying to maximize the performance I could have. So yeah, I was thinking like go out 1:16, 1:17. And that's what I did. So
you were kind of cribs noting a little bit off of what you'd seen on like Twitter from some of the NAZ women.
For sure, definitely. Like I had a plan before that. I'm kind of crazy and love the training aspect of it. So I made up a plan a long time ago, and I mostly like stick to it. But I think it's fun and interesting to like keep yourself in check and kind of admire what other people are doing and see where you are compared to them. Just, Elisa, you're smart when you're going into the race. Like, I know that they put in a ton of work at really great paces. Like, it's not, if I didn't beat them, I didn't fail. Like, they're amazing women. So I look at their stuff because I admire them.
So how did it feel in New York? Did you notice, I guess, when you passed Kellen Taylor and Stephanie Bruce, and what was going through your head when you caught up to them?
So, I mean, going into it, I thought, a great day. It would be top 15 and top 3 American. And I know, like, we had a lot of good American women in the race, and you kind of expected for Shalane to, like, run as Shalane and not mess it up. So I didn't think necessarily that she would win, but I thought she would be the first American. And then I just thought, the marathon is tricky to get right, and a lot of people have a hard time at the end, right? Especially in New York. And I studied the times from the past 4 years, and the splits people came in with, or in the top 3 American, like it could be 7 minutes the last couple miles. So I just figured that for me, I was going to try to pick people off at the very, very end. So I had my parents and my boyfriend run around the city and subway around to be able to tell me at all different mile points, like how far away the American girls were from me. And that I had like a number in my head, if I go into Central Park and I'm only 2 minutes, I thought 2 minutes out, like I can still make up a couple minutes at the very end.
Yeah.
And So when it ended up that I caught up to everyone so much quicker, like I remember being on the bridge at 15 miles and I was thinking, like, God, why aren't they farther ahead? Like, how am I so close to the ladies still? Like, why are they running so slow? And so like I definitely thought that they would go earlier. So and then ended up like catching Stephanie before we got into the park, and she's amazing, and I didn't think she was really gonna blow up. So I was kind of telling myself, like, when you go by people, like, don't give them a chance to come back on you. You know, like, send a strong message that you are moving forward, and that's the only direction you're gonna be moving this entire race. So then I got Alethine after Stephanie, and then I was kind of closing in on Kellen and those couple other girls of the other countries, and I just thought, like, you know, you might get them or you might not, but this has been a huge success. Like, I was pretty ecstatic and hurting, you know, like it was tough. Those last few miles are really hard. So I got to the 800 meter mark and was like, holy shit, there's only 800 meters left. Like, go. So yeah, it was a good one.
Wow.
What was your last mile? Do you know?
I don't know. I've seen a lot of different splits. I've seen the range from like 5:08 to 5:30, and the New York Roadrunners say you lose half your money if you hate your watch at the end. So I did not click my watch.
So what were you like looking at the clock as you were heading into the finish? Like, what? There must have been so many emotions going through your mind in that moment when you were about to cross the finish line, because that was a 26-minute PR, right?
Yeah, it's kind of incredible. I did run an indoor marathon at 2:44, so it was legitimately a 15-minute PR. But beforehand, I didn't think of myself as a 2:44 marathoner because I hadn't trained for a marathon before. So the 2:44 was off like 5K and 10K training. But I definitely didn't think I was going to run 2:30. And I did, you know, I've been hoping that I would have a good performance and it would lead to a contract or just like some kind of continued resources, because in this build-up I was lucky enough to get some help from Nike, and so I met with an agent before, like the day before the race, and he was really nice and just trying to come up with some like options for me, but I'm on my own in Buffalo and that's been working for me, and there are like groups I could probably join, but in my opinion, I feel like that's taking a bit of a risk because everything's going so well, and everything hasn't always gone so well when I was in a group. So maybe I should just stick to what's working. And the options for that at the moment are like limited. You really have to run some stellar performances. And so the agent just told me, honestly, you know, if good luck tomorrow. Like, I hope I can help you, and if you run sub 2:30, if you hit 2:29, we'll have a different conversation. So definitely at the end of that race, like, I was thinking, like, oh my God, I'm running 2:29. Like, I cannot wait to get across that finish line and have that different conversation.
Wow. So that's epic. That is such a cool story. How did that conversation go?
Afterwards? Or
yeah.
Beforehand?
After.
Yeah. So, you know, they're like, if people, the conversation hasn't fully continued yet. I haven't really checked out to see what the possibilities are exactly yet, because I've been kind of soaking this up. I don't spend a lot of time on Long Island, to be honest, so I don't get to see all of my friends and family from home. So I've just been so excited to share it with them, and I have so much support out there. So I really want to just like do the celebration right. You know, because I could get a contract and go to another world marathon major and have great training and still not get fifth ever again. So I don't want to let the celebration go to try to gain something else that may or may not really pan out.
And so you kind of mentioned this a little earlier, just you have such an incredible running journey story. Can you kind of share that with us a little bit?
Like how I got into running?
Yeah,
or like
yeah.
breaking up with running for a little bit?
Yeah, all of it.
It's a long question.
I know it's
to answer.
I know it's a long question, but she's got a cool story, you know. The people want to know.
Yeah, so I followed my sister into the sport when I was really young. Like the crossing guard at our school when we were in elementary school, I guess knew a little bit about track, and so she told my mom that my sister looked really fast and that she should sign us up for this local track club. And my parents had both worked, and so they kind of needed like some place for both of us to go at the same time because they couldn't have like two different people watching us. And I was in kindergarten, the youngest person ever let into the Golden Girls track club that ran for Orange TikToks. And then, you know, like it just kind of continued with the sport. Like I played soccer growing up, and but like when you get to pick a sport in school, I picked running because I figured my sister runs, I'll just do what she does. And I never really thought that I was much of a soccer player, but I was really good at being very close to the ball. So I joined the track team and like had some success, went to Wake Forest, and just kind of, I don't think ever like fulfilled my potential there. I feel like the training didn't really work for me. Like we did just like a lot of different training than I do now. So and unfortunately like the team was kind of falling apart. Like Nicole Shafford at the time was her last name, now Nicole Telly. She was my roommate and ended up transferring. Mandy McBean, who's Canadian, she ran 9:31 in the 3K in high school. She ended up transferring. So we just we were kind of losing people rather than gaining people. So then I took my 5th year at Arizona State, and I was semi-successful there. I got, I think, 50th or 49th at the cross-country nationals my 5th year, and then I just got injured and then didn't make the track season at all. So it was kind of like a mixed bag, and I felt like I had a lot of untapped potential. So unfortunately, my sister was killed in a car accident when I was at Wake, and she had some money, and so my parents like gave me some of the money, and I was able to kind of like allow myself to run, like I would say semi-pro. Like I paid my way everywhere, and I moved to Colorado and I ran with Brad Hudson, and that went really well. I made the Olympic trials in 2012, and then I got injured and didn't make it to the race. And then I just never got really back into form. I don't know for what reason. Like I don't have any tests that are like it was because of this or that, but I just ran out of money basically, and so I had to move away and get a job. And so I moved to New York City because I'm from Long Island, kind of move home, be close to family, and I just like thought running was over. And so then a few months into the New York City life, I realized like I didn't have any friends, and I started running with people just like for friendship. Are you guys still there?
Yeah, we're listening.
Okay. And so I did that, and like it was actually Jay Holder who was the person that interviewed me after the marathon. I don't know if you guys know him, but he was like my first friend in New York City, and we ran together a bunch, and then he invited me on his team, and like then I joined the New York Athletic Club, which was the best club in New York City, and I started running with Sarah Cummings, who's run like a 2:34 marathon. It just kind of like the pieces started coming back together. And I ran for her coach for a little while, and that didn't really work, and he dropped me. And then I ran for Steve Magnus for a little while, and you know, like that didn't really work either. So then I started coaching myself and coaching others in New York City, and that was really, really fun because I took what was working for me and was able to like train myself and also kind of get paid for it because I was doing it in other people's workouts. And I had one guy that was really successful and ended up running a 2:39 marathon. And he's really the one that like spurred me to get back like in much better shape, because I just like couldn't keep up with him anymore. And I couldn't like push him in the workout, so it wasn't really helping that much as a training partner and coach. So then in last year, so in the summer of last year, I did, well, in 2016 I did a ton of races because I was dating the same guy I am now, but we were living apart from each other, and we decided that we were going to both quit our jobs in the summer and take a vacation and then find new jobs and move in together. And so I did a bunch of races for prize money, and then we went away for 2 months to Europe and like hiked all over the place. And then he found a job in Buffalo and I followed, and the rest is history.
Yeah, your 2016 I feel like is super interesting because you kind of just like fell, and you know, people out there, if you haven't read Joe Battaglia's story on Allie, I recommend it. We'll put a link out there. It's super good, interesting. But reading his story about you, you kind of just casually fell into that first marathon.
Yeah, his story was amazing. He was such a good writer. And I definitely did fall into that first one because I was not signed up for the race until the night before.
Yeah, but a lot of the good people in the field were in the half, and you're like, screw it, I'm here to get some prize money. I'll just do the whole thing.
Well, yeah, once you're there, it's like I paid my own way, and you know, my boyfriend paid his way, and it was very nice to be in Miami, but we had to, you know, get some money back because the whole point of going to Miami was to win money so we could quit our jobs and move in together.
Right.
Like, if we don't win some money, we've just like gone backwards. And that was the first race of the year, so it was like, oh God, things are going south so quickly.
So what we need more details about like the European vacation, I feel like, because that is literally your motivation for running super fast in 2016. So this must have been like the best vacation ever.
Yeah, it was pretty incredible. We started in Iceland, and then we went to Norway, Sweden, Switzerland, France, Italy, Czechoslovakia.
I want to do that.
Prague.
We gotta start training too.
Oh my God, we did so much. And like, we spent half of it hiking and half of it like in cities and like, you know, doing that whole thing. So we brought like a tent and a sleeping bag, and I dehydrated all the food and like packaged everything up beforehand. Like we went all out on the camping side of it. So
did you have a favorite, maybe like your top 2 favorite cities or places that you guys stayed?
Yeah, so definitely my favorite was Tour Mont Blanc, which is this hike around Mont Blanc. And so we started in France, and you walk through France, Italy, and Switzerland. It's like 112 miles or something, I think.
Wow.
And so it took us like 10 or 11 days with like carrying all of our stuff and cooking all of our meals. But
you walked 112 miles?
Yep. People run it, actually. It's an ultra marathon.
That must have been beautiful out there.
Did it this year. Yeah, no, it was
That's insane.
Beautiful. Like, and I planned most of the trip because I quit my job, and like my boyfriend was like still working, and so and my mom met us for that part of the trip, and I put in like this, you know, rest day halfway through in a cute little town in Italy, and it just happened to be a food festival, so we got, you know, stuck in Italy in like this gorgeous ski town for an Italian food festival. Like, it was just the most amazing thing ever. And I think the second favorite thing for me was we went to a concentration camp right outside of Prague, and I just felt like that was really like moving. So it was a really nice vacation where we got like a lot of different things and elements, and yeah.
How many more Instagram followers did you get after going on this trip?
Holy moly! Like, every time I look, I'm like, oh my God, there's so many more. Like I have 1,300 followers or something, which I thought I was doing pretty well. But yeah, I think I've gone up 3,000 or so.
Nice.
I mean, after this weekend in New York, you're like a celebrity.
So funny. It's so funny because, like, as a person, I definitely don't see myself that way. I'm still like the weird, dorky girl that was obsessed with running. So I think that's funny, but that's great. I'm glad that everyone likes my stuff now. I mean, I appreciate it. Just don't feel like a celebrity.
And your indoor world record for the marathon.
Mhm.
What was it like to run a marathon on an indoor track? Did they like blast music for you? Was there some kind of what was that like?
How did you go crazy?
Yeah.
It was actually like surprisingly really fun. So that was another one I kind of just like walked into. I think I signed up a few days before the race because I heard that no other girl had signed up, and I was pretty sure I could run the time. I think the world record was 2:51, and I ran like a 2:53 in Miami, going out like 7 30-minute miles. So it was fun. Like we did for an hour we went one direction, and they blasted music and they kept announcing everything as we went. So like you were invested in the race and the people around you. Like even though I wasn't racing them, I was really excited about the guys.
Yeah.
So
and I guess they kept you on pace.
So I did run with one guy for like halfway through, but the other guys,
oh no,
most of them were much further ahead of me.
Oh, sorry, it just cut out for a second. Could you say that again?
Yeah, so I had one guy that I ran half the race with about, and the other guys were trying to set their own world record. Because I'm pretty sure you only got the prize money if you set the world record.
Oh, I see.
That year, that was the way. So I think first place got prize money and second place got nothing.
And going into it, how much money did you win for breaking the record?
$6,000.
Damn.
That's a pretty for less than 3 hours worth of work. That's pretty good.
Yeah. It was a great day of work.
The training hours, of course.
Right, but I was already doing them. When you sign up for something 3 days before the race, like you're just getting paid for the race. You didn't invest anything in the training.
Yeah.
Other than like I wanted to be training and I was already out there doing it. So yeah.
So do you feel like you finally found your distance?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I feel like I have a lot more to give in the shorter stuff. I guess as I progress and kind of like figure out more of the like training that everyone else is doing, I realize like I have more untapped potential, and like just in the training of like going out for different style of runs or more runs. And then when I think of like strength training and swimming and like eating differently, like there's so many things to learn still that I don't know if I necessarily found the distance, or I'm just like getting closer to understanding how to get to the top.
Yeah.
I still feel like there's a lot to give in the marathon, I would say, still. And because just from the splits, I feel like maybe if I went a little more evenly. Like if I had gone out with them, I wouldn't have had to do so much work to catch up.
Right.
It must feel really good though, just, knowing all the different like training situations you've been in, all the different coaches you've had. It must feel just so good to know that what you're doing now, that you've like figured it out for yourself, and that it's not always, one training situation or coach or whatever doesn't necessarily work for everybody, but you've like clearly figured it out, like what works best for you.
Right. Obviously it's working and it's going really well. I wouldn't say it's much different than what I did with Brad. So I'm not really sure why when I got hurt, like I just didn't get my form back. Because I still talk to Brad and ask a lot of questions, and my training is really similar to him, who takes after Canova. So, but yeah, I would think some mistakes I made were like when I went to Wake, I should have kind of asked like, what kind of training do you guys do, and do you think that because I did this training, this would work? Like, I feel like when you're in high school and you have such like big dreams and goals for the future, you don't realize like what it takes to get there. And I had a great coach in high school who was like, go to Colorado. And I just didn't, like, I actually visited, and I don't think the coach was interested at all. And I was like, oh, but the weight coach was like so nice to me, and I loved the like girls and the school and all, you know, the stuff. And unfortunately, just the training didn't work. So I think that's something that gets left out of the discussion, and it shouldn't, because there are people, like how Steve Magnus writes in his book, that different people are going to do better in different training. So, you know,
it's hard to know as a high schooler to ask those questions, or even what the answers mean, right?
It is. I just feel like and like you never know. And I mean, I don't know what like to say to people to get it right, because I don't know that they even realize like what they're doing, and is that the best they could be, or would the different training help them more? Like it is kind of trial and error to a certain degree. Seems like it's taking me a lot longer than it takes some other people, but I mean, everyone's like got to get there at some point, or because you see a lot of people just like it doesn't pan out in college the way that they're running in high school, and the talent hasn't gone away. I'm sure it's not the work ethic, you know. So what happened?
Yeah, and just speaking about your time in college, I mean, it seems like your older sister had a huge impact on you, and especially to go through a loss like that as a young adult still forming seems really difficult. And there's one quote that you know, in the story with Joe that kind of stood out to me, where you said, you kind of wanted to live my life as if I were her, and she was really, really different from me. And I was just curious if you could elaborate a little bit on that, and kind of how you've come to terms with that idea since then.
Yeah, so my sister was like very cool and very confident, and she kind of like lived her own life to the beat of a completely different drum than most people, I feel like and so after she died, like she had spent several months backpacking through Southeast Asia, and she's been to 6 of the 7 continents, and she was only 23 when she died. And I was thinking, like, you know, I'm gonna take her ashes or her spirit or something like to the 7th continent with me, and I like wanted to like continue her legacy, I think, instead of living my own. And so it took me a long time like to get back to me, I feel like, and what, like, you know, I have no interest in going to Antarctica, and I don't have to, and that's not like what she would want for me. She would want me to be me and continue pursuing the things that make me happy. Yeah.
And she is, though, the reason you got into running, right?
Yeah, for sure. And I wanted to be just like her, and I mean, I don't, like, running was not the coolest sport, as most places it's not, and I wanted to run because she ran. And I remember being so excited in 8th grade. I moved up to the high school team in indoor track, and she was the captain of the team, and I was so excited to be part of the team with her. And she was like not happy about it, because she said that I was going to be faster than her, and as the captain I think she felt that would be really embarrassing, and like I didn't see it from that perspective, so I can understand now. But yeah, she did not want to have anything to do with me. I was like, I don't get it, like, this is so cool, I can run with you. She's like, I'm not running with you. Yeah.
Did you end up passing her?
I did end up running better than her, so she was right. But
yeah. So you see yourself staying in Buffalo, not joining another group if the opportunity presents itself?
I'm not sure. Like, I know some of the groups, like, you can split your time kind of. So I guess I just don't know really what all the options are and what would be the best for me. I feel like when I was with Brad Hudson in Boulder, I really enjoyed it. I really like Brad. I think he's a great person. I think Boulder was, you know, an amazing place, and I had friends there that I really liked. But once the running went sour, like, I had nothing else. I didn't, and now I feel like I have a life with my boyfriend, and there are like things we're doing in the community to help the community, and we enjoy being there, and that's where we see our future. So I feel like there's pressure to completely give that up just for running. And right now I'm in a situation where I get to run and have the rest of life. And so if that's working, just like, would it be great to, have a group that I could do altitude training stints with and just run ideas off of and like, train with occasionally? I think that would be great, but maybe not like a full-time relocation and everything. I think that might just be too much different. Like, I guess I finally been searching for over a decade of what works for me, and I found it. So why change it now?
I'm sure your next race is not on your mind this second, since you said you're trying to enjoy the 5th place. But do you think you would do a marathon again as your next race, or do you think you would test out one of the shorter distances?
I don't know. I thought, like, going into all of this, I thought it was a 10K for sure. So I was thinking, like, I'll go over distance now. I'll do under distance in the spring/summer. And then I'll do, like, a full, like, long training block of 10K training and put myself in the best position for 2019. And I guess, like, Sunday definitely makes me rethink that entire plan. But I would like to rewrite like my own record book and set some new PRs, because my track, other than the 10K, like my track PRs are very old. And I think that there's something to getting faster at the shorter distances makes the longer things quicker too.
Yeah,
just
definitely.
Easier to manage, like a faster pace if you're used to faster things. And also I feel like maybe they're a little bit soft now, those records, so like, beating them would be fun.
You can probably just do it on like a training run.
Right, like, I mean, even I think the half, like my half is an equivalent from the 20K, and I was 40 seconds away in the second half of the race on Sunday. So seems like I maybe messed up the taper on that one. Like, and I if I'm thinking of like one race in particular, I would really like to put myself in a great position that if I made the world half team, I could kick some ass.
Awesome.
Well, we'll definitely be cheering for you. Thanks for joining us today. We're going to let you go.
Thank you for having me.
But definitely enjoy the rest of your awesome run from New York, and we're really excited to keep following you run.
Yeah, congratulations.
Thanks so much.
All right,
I appreciate
take care.
it.
Bye.
Bye.
Man, it's just so cool to see.
It's so cool to have a new face and like a new story. And
yeah. And just the fact that, I don't know, her performance was super inspiring to people who, I mean, to PR by that much and knowing like all the different ups and downs that she's had throughout her running career. It's just really inspiring to, a lot of other female runners and post-collegiate athletes that, think big things can still happen after you graduate.
Yeah, definitely. And
it's pretty cool.
Yeah. It was cool.
Yeah.
That was a lot of fun. So I did want to mention a couple other standout performances from New York before we go. I know we're running out of time here, but I have a goal time for my first marathon now. I have to beat Carly Kloss. She ran 4:41, which is a 10:43 pace. So I feel like I could do that.
I'm sorry I didn't get an interview with her. I feel like I let you down.
I know. I texted Taylor. I was like, so where's the Carly Kloss interview? I feel like she was under a fake name, though, because she was scared of stalkers. Because I tried to look her up, and her name isn't even in like their database. No. There's someone named Stefan Kloss, who's a German, who might be Carly Kloss.
Oh, yeah. Maybe.
It's possible, because his time is like 4:41, but like different seconds. So it might actually be a totally separate person. I have no idea.
We'll never know.
Yeah, we'll never know.
That's pretty good for her.
Hey, it's pretty good. I mean, I'm sure she doesn't really train. Like, I think she runs. She like posts Instagram pictures of herself running.
Yeah.
So I'm sure she runs, but I don't think she's out here doing like, a 20-miler.
Probably not. But I mean, she ran 26.2.
She did.
Another celeb who I thoroughly enjoyed following throughout his marathon training, Kevin Hart, ran pretty good.
He did run pretty good.
4:02.
What did he write on his social media?
Well, this picture kind of says it all. You see the pain, the marathon pain on his face. Mile 22. This is where the race really began, people. This is where got real. This is where I contemplated faking a serious injury, which I feel like a lot of runners have had points where they've thought that. I've thought that at difficult races. It felt like somebody hit me in both of my legs with a bat that had cramps attached to it.
That's really descriptive.
Yeah, that's an image. This was a different type of pain. This was that level of hurt that made you dig deep and ask yourself if you have what it takes to be great. I willed myself to the finish line with mental toughness.
I do kind of wonder how much time he could shave off if someone took away his phone. Because I feel like he was Snapchatting during the race.
And was he during the race?
Well, right before the race, I think he missed the start because he was Instagram living or I don't know, one of those things. But yeah, I think it's cool that he's been so involved with the sub-2-hour marathon and running New York because I think it just gets people more interested in the sport and knowing what's going on.
Absolutely. He even trained with the high school cross-country team out in LA.
Wow, they're lucky.
I loved that.
That must have been awesome.
There was a pretty funny video of him trying to do 800-meter repeats.
Really?
Yeah.
We should have posted that. Dang it.
It's
not too late, I guess.
But yeah, a lot of good performances. Obviously, Meb's last professional marathon. That was awesome / sad. A lot of people were sad. Rightfully so. He's been an amazing inspiration and champion for the sport. But that was cool to see that he, finished 11th in his last professional marathon.
Yeah, still one of the top Americans. And the very top American man is a 42-year-old, Abdi, getting 7th place.
Yes. And
it's wild. Meb is really inspired. Yeah, he did fall.
Abdi fell, I think in the first 5K, it was at a fluid station, and he fell and caught back up to the group right away and then threw in at the time, which was the fastest mile of the day, when he started leading the group after catching up, and everyone was like, Abdi, what are you doing? But he hung with it, and yeah, especially falling that early in the race, it'd be tough to catch back up, but he did it.
Well, that's impressive. And he's going for 2020.
Yes.
He said that on the record, so.
Love it.
I don't know. We need some young, male bucks to come up now, right? I feel like we have some new faces on the women's side. Mm-hmm. Who is going to challenge Abdi? I don't know. Well, Galen Rupp, obviously. But
yeah.
Anyway, stay tuned. Not related to the marathon. This Friday is the Colas live show, where we're going to be following all the NCAA Division I regional championships and calculating out throughout the day which teams are going to the NCAA championships. So it should be exciting.
Yes.
It's the first time that I've ever done the Colas show, so I sort of know what to expect because I've watched you guys do it every year, but
yes,
excited to join up.
It's exciting / stressful / emotional. Teams getting in, teams not getting in, coaches texting you asking who got it. But it's super fun. And it's one of the biggest days in the cross-country season. So
yeah, and we'll be live streaming the Great Lakes Regional and the West Regional. So a lot of action on the site Friday.
Yes.
So stay tuned. We'll see you then. Thanks.